Hi, I'm Marcus with the IndieMusicLab.com. So a couple weeks ago, one of my subscribers, whose name is Sean, asked if I could make a video on how to get that vintage vocal mic sound. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. As always, I pay very close attention to any recommendations or requests that you guys have. So if you have any ideas for videos that you would like me to cover, be sure to leave a comment below and let me know. All right, let's jump right in. Now, I was trying to find a project in my computer that would facilitate this type of old vocal mic sound, and I stumbled across my old remake of Pumped Up Kicks by Foster the People. So that is what we are going to use. So here's what it sounds like. That's the type of vocal sound that we're aiming for, right? It's that very old, vintage type of vibe. And there are a couple ways, or there are a couple steps that are involved in getting to this sound. The first step is you want to add saturation and distortion. So here is my lead vocals bus right here, or track. Let me just walk you through the chain very quickly. So I'm starting with JJP vocals from Waves just to add some compression and EQ very quickly. This was a remake, so I didn't bother dialing all that in myself with compressors and EQs. I just went with the JJP. Then I used saturation knob from Softtube. So let me turn off all these plugins as well as the reverb sends and that delay. And here is what it sounds like dry. And then JJP vocals. So that's adding that compression and bite to it. And then the saturation knob. So it's adding that bit of edginess, that grit to the tone, and that's very important for this type of sound. So I've got the knob here at about 10 o'clock. Faster than my bullet. So that's the first saturation. We do add another distortion as well. At the bottom of this chain, and then the next I just added some EQ, pretty self-explanatory there. By the way, if you want to dive into EQ and compression, I'll leave my vocal EQ and compression free guides down below, so check those out. They're 100% free. And then next, I think I had this RC20 turned off actually. Yeah, I did, because I was working on this song a bit before I got on camera, and because I wanted to prove that you don't need RC20 to get the sound. So then after that, I've got Fat Channel, which this is just, okay, this is just another EQ. I did a boost at like 5K, 3 dB boost. That was just in the context of this mix. I thought that sounded good. And then finally, another distortion. So this is a stock distortion in Studio One. So here is what it sounds like now. All the other kids with without pumped up kicks, you better run, better run. Ooh, it's really adding that bite now, right? This is so important. You need saturation and distortion, and you can do what I did. You can use one instance of a saturation, one instance of a distortion, put them together, and beautiful, right? Now the next step to get this old vocal mic sound is using a reverb and a slap delay specifically. But it's not just that, because we're making these reverbs and a slap delay mono. So here is what it sounds like if the reverb, so let's start with just that plate reverb. Turn all these off. Just the plate reverb where it's just nice and wide, right? All the other kids with the you can just hear it all over the stereo field, right? Now listen to what it sounds like when I make that reverb signal, because I've got the reverb on a return track over here, right? I'm sending the lead vocal to that reverb. Here's what it sounds like when the reverb is mono. Right down the middle. It's that tonal. All the other kids with the pump. That's beautiful, right? Because listen to what it sounds like in the mix with it being mono. Versus if it's stereo. It doesn't sound as old. It sounds more modern, right? With the reverb spread out. So that is just a really quick way. Just use any type of plugin you have in your DAW that can make a stereo track mono and just give it that tonal effect down the middle. So I just use binaural pan in this case, but any plugin that allows you to adjust the stereo width can achieve this. And now I also did the same thing with the slap delay. So I'm sending this lead vocal track to the slap delay as well. And that sounds like this. Now I'm using Valhalla delay, but you can use any delay obviously. Slightly offset left and right, just classic slap delay settings, feedback at 0. And so the width right now is at 0, but let's put the width at 100%. Let's say we want it nice and wide. Let's turn that down a little bit.
Better run, I'll run.
I mean, again, it sounds fine, but we're going for a very specific sound. We're going for that very vintage, old, sort of scrappy sound. So when we move this back to 0 on the width, listen to what happens.
All the other kids
It's down a little, right? Let me turn that down again.
Kids, you better run, faster than my bullet. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, I'll run my gun. All the other kids with the pumped up kicks, you better run, faster than my bullet.
Now, there is one more thing that I'll mention about when you're going for this type of sound. Normally, when you mix a vocal or when you EQ a vocal like this, or when you EQ like a modern pop vocal, what you're going to do generally is do a cut in the like 1K range, 2K range, maybe even pretty drastic, because that's kind of where the nasal frequencies, like the harshness and that honkiness often happens, is like 1K, 2K. You want to be careful to not make this vocal sound too warm, because warm sounds more modern, or at least when it comes to this vocal sound, right? Because if I warm it up in the 1 to 2K range, listen to what it does. Yeah, it's more mellow, right? It's more hollow. It sounds nice. But it doesn't quite have that harshness, that little bit of harshness that actually kind of sounds cool. So, if you generally cut around 1K, 2K like I often do on my vocals, if you're going for this sound, maybe don't do that. Or if you usually just let it be at 1K and 2K, maybe even boost it in that range. And also, you don't need a bunch of low end for this, because it's kind of mid-range and high mid-range focused when it comes to this very specific vocal sound as well. So that's just a couple tips when it comes to EQ. And speaking of EQ, if you want to dive deeper into that, I've got my vocal EQ and compression guides down below. They're 100% free, and they will help you fix vocal EQ problems and actually compress your vocals in a systematic way that just works every time. So be sure to download that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you next time. Bye.